Good afternoon. We are here today with Tom from 4-H. He's the 4-H educator, as well as Heather Cunningham, who is a 4-H volunteer and an East Longmeadow resident. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
And they are here today to give us a little bit of history. We just have some questions. And the first one is, what is 4-H? Everybody wants to know.
Yeah, it's great. We call it one of the best kept secrets that there is out there. Even though it has a 120-year history, it's generally unknown, especially as you get into the urban areas and the suburban areas. Mm-hmm. Of course, we're well known in the farming community. Okay. But I do want to start out by thanking LCAT and Angela for providing this opportunity to promote 4-H. We're always looking for an opportunity to let citizens of, in this case, East Longmeadow, become aware of all the opportunities that there are in 4-H. Mm-hmm. So 4-H is a youth organization. We're part of the University of Massachusetts at Amherst. Okay. It was founded in 1902 by an act of Congress. And at the time, about 93% of U.S. citizens were living on farms and producing a wealth of food, both in terms of vegetables, fruits, and animals. Since then, we move up to 2015, where less than 4% of families live on farms, yet we're outproducing what we were doing 120 years ago.
Oh, wow.
Largely the reason is the green revolution that took place in the 20s and then again in the 60s with new seeds, new tillage techniques, new fertilizers, no-till, low-till production. Okay. And what happened in the 1902 era is land-grant universities were gearing up and ramping up, taking the research that they were developing out to the farms. They were trying to ensure that there was enough production happening across the country to keep a growing economy and a growing country on par. Okay. So they took this research out to farmers. Okay. But there was resistance by farmers at the time. Their theory was, if it ain't broke, don't break it. Don't mess it. So what happened is, the researchers and the faculty and staff at land-grant universities like UMass Amherst, Cornell, Rutgers, UConn, and Storrs decided to skip a generation. They said, okay, farmers, if you're not as willing to grasp this new technology, we're going to go to your sons and daughters. And they latched onto it and ran with it. And thus 4-H was born. So we have, when people think about 4-H, they think largely about agriculture, and rightly so, because that's where our roots were, and we were 100% farming and agriculture. Over the years, 4-H has become solely a youth development program. Okay. We are the largest youth development program in the country and in the world. Right. We're in every single county, every single state, every single U.S. territory, and we're in 78 different countries across the world.
Oh, wow. So would you say that the mission has changed just a little bit from when you first started?
It has, in that the focus then was up on technology and change, and now the focus is on youth development. Okay. And that technology in the project, whereas before it was almost solely farming, it's just as likely as you are to see a 4-H'er who now owns a dairy cattle or a horse, in the case of Heather's Club, or a swine or a sheep. You're just as likely to see a 4-H'er involved with rocketry, robotics, public speaking, or computer programming. I just met with an individual about 2 hours ago in Amherst at Miss Saigon's restaurant, and he is going to start a robotics club where he himself will be doing computer programming using a Lego Mindstorm system. It's well beyond me. That's all I know. Okay. I know no more than that. Okay. But just shows you kind of the breadth of what 4-H can be. And I want to cite a couple of specific situations to give people more of a flavor of what 4-H is and can become.
That's great, because that was what was going to be my next question. What is a 4-H club, and what do you do there?
Okay, so a 4-H club is a small group of youth, ages 5 to 18, who meet on average once every couple of weeks with a volunteer club leader. That club leader is a quarried adult who has gone through an orientation at the University of Massachusetts, and I would usually provide that at their site, whatever town or city that they lived in. And they run a general business meeting for the first part of their club session, which is about 5 minutes, and they quickly go into the project area. 4-H's philosophy is learning by doing. You will not see in a 4-H club setting someone getting up and talking to a group of youngsters for any length of time.
Oh.
They're either constructing something, deconstructing something, brainstorming something, problem solving. The group dynamics is high energy, and it's always, always hands-on. So learning by doing, again, is our philosophy and the slogan. It's experiential education. So when my son was 4-H age, he was a member of the Hadley 4-H Young Astronauts.
Okay.
And they constructed control panels, rockets. They built a solar system the size of the town of Hadley. All hands-on, all great stuff. Our daughter then became 4-H age, and she was interested in sign language. So she and her friends formed the Hadley 4-H Sparkles Club, which was a sign language club. To this day, I don't know what the letter A is, but my daughter and her friends can do the alphabet and the words. And they got so involved and so advanced that they were signing entire songs. They would do it with white gloves, a black light in front of an audience, so the audience would just see the hands, and they would do it in unison with each other.
Oh, wow.
So it was incredible. So just in a nutshell, that's...
So it's not just agriculture
Not just
anymore.
agriculture.
There's so much more to 4-H. So now you mentioned something about volunteers and that they are quarried. What role, can you go into a little bit more about what their role is?
Sure.
If there's anything additional to that?
Oh, well, there is. It depends largely on the age of the youngster that's in 4-H. So we have a group, 5 to 7-year-olds, called Clover Buds. These are our first-year 4-Hers. They go through what's called the prep program, so they get a smattering of project areas. As 4-Hers get older, they tend to focus in on one project area. Robotics, as I said, horse, rocketry, citizenship, public speaking. The role of that volunteer changes from being more of a guide to becoming more of an advisor. The role of the volunteer is they step back so that the initiation of projects, the running of the club meeting and their activities evolves so it becomes more and more of that youth's responsibilities.
Okay.
So oftentimes in a club you'll see officers, the typical president or vice president, secretary, treasurer, news reporter.
Okay.
They will start running the club, and only in the event of an issue of safety or some legal issue that might come up would the adult volunteers step in. But they pretty much stand back and just take in all that the youth are evolving and growing into.
Well, that sounds wonderful.
It's really exciting to see the growth and development of 4-H.
No, it sounds like a wonderful program, but the next question is, does it cost money?
Sure it does.
Okay.
Not much, though. Of course, for the volunteers, like Heather, there's no charge. We're happy to have them. Someone of her caliber and quality, experience with youth and knowledge of a project area, that's an ace. We love that. In terms of the 4-Her, it's $50 per member per year. And that covers a variety of things such as health insurance, scholarships, entry to a number of workshops and conferences, and some office support. However, having said that, we want to be sure that money is never an issue why a youth cannot get into 4-H.
Okay.
So we are fortunate. We have the Massachusetts 4-H Foundation, which is a group of individuals which supports 4-H. And if there's any family that have a youth son or daughter or a couple, and because of the economic times that we're still in, it's just a stretch for them, then they apply for a waiver, and they can pay anywhere from nothing to all the way up to the 50, and anywhere in between.
Okay.
And that's readily available to them.
Now, so they would just go through a process of just a word of mouth, or is there paperwork to be filled out? What's that process
Okay,
look
so
like?
for the youth to sign up, we have a registration form. We absolutely discriminate against no one. So once they fill it out, they're in the club.
Okay.
And what we're looking for largely is a code of conduct that they would sign, their registration, and a health form. We would keep the health form in the office, but the club leader also has a copy in case there's some allergy or something else that they need to be aware of.
Okay.
But virtually anyone that's expressed interest in 4-H,
So they're automatically, and if
they're
they
in.
can't pay it, there would be some paperwork for them to pay.
one
that-
piece of paper.
Just for that $50 waiver.
Yes.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Are there any dues or anything associated? I know we said about the $50, but in addition to that, sometimes
Do
there
you
are
have
dues
dues?
with.
We don't have any dues. Every once in a while, if we're running a clinic and the person who may be running the clinic is going to be paid, we ask the small donation towards the clinic.
Okay.
Normally, no. I mean, we've done a lot of things, and basically we've been going places and doing things, and it hasn't cost us anything. And we just try to keep the kids as busy and involved as much as they can.
But you know, that question comes up every single time. And let me just tell you what is kind of funny. In our case with our clubs that we ran, we had a treasurer, and she collected the dues. It's 25 cents per club meeting. And then it became a hassle for her to collect the 25 cents. Everybody kept forgetting it. And then she felt like she didn't have a role to play when they stopped the dues, so they re-implemented dues again. And it's not going to break anybody. And the money's used largely for a movie night out or an ice cream Sunday night out. It's whatever the club wants to use it. It might, at the end of the year, total all of $15.
Okay. And if they're not able to, again, if they're not able to do the dues,
it's nothing. It's minor.
no pressure.
No
Okay.
pressure.
That's great. So tell me, on that money theme, does 4-H get any funding? Or-
Yes.
And if so, where?
Okay, so because we're part of the University of Massachusetts, which is the land-grant university, some of our money flows from the state government through your taxes, through the university, and into 4-H. That's one way. That's our public sector support.
Well, we wrote a grant for the community garden this year for the kids too. They plotted, planned, and wrote a grant for them to do a garden plot this year.
Okay.
Right. And I mentioned that's from the Mass 4-H Foundation, which is our private partner, which is an entity that sits in Ashland, and they right now have $7 million in their coffers.
Oh.
And their goal in life is to support clubs like the Free Riders 4-H Club. So a club leader would write a short one-page grant asking for whatever they might need.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty neat.
And it's pretty quick, that turnaround for writing the
It's like
grants?
it's like that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Could you teach the state how to do
Yeah, I
that?
know. I wish. I wish.
So who actually runs the 4-H program? I know you mentioned UMass, but who really runs it?
Okay.
Who's the nit-grit?
So I guess for the Pioneer Valley, I oversee it.
oversee
I make sure that the paper flow is going, that all the volunteers are quarried,
So
that the
you're more than an
registrations.
educator.
What's that?
You're more than an
Well,
educator.
no, that's a glorified title. Make sure all the paperwork's in, and that everyone's covered. So to grease the wheels, I guess, so that the clubs can do what they are meant to do, which is really work hands-on with those 4-H youth to do the projects that those 4-Hers want to learn about. They don't want to be burdened with the paperwork and all that kind of stuff. So
Right.
I kind of get that
Right.
out of their way. And so we always say, though, the volunteers are the backbone of 4-H. I could go away today and volunteer, and 4-H would continue because of those volunteers.
Okay.
If the volunteers went away today, I'd be out of a job. That just shows you how critical and how much we value them. They are the linchpin in the whole process.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there a ratio, child to adult ratio with 4-H? I know in Girl Scouts and other things you do have a ratio. Just asking.
Yeah, there's not one that's set by
That's not set.
by UMass or 4-H. Your club has what, 12?
I think we're at 12.
12.
Okay.
Yeah, we
The-
have a couple of inquiries.
The average size
great.
4-H club in Massachusetts is 9.
Okay.
We have a club as large as 38,
Wow.
and we have a club I think as small as 8. So
Wow.
Sometimes parents stay, sometimes they don't.
Okay.
We have, ours is open. We have 5-year-olds up to 13-year-olds.
Okay.
So because we're an equine club, so we're covering, we're not just sticking to horses, we're doing all sorts of different things. We did the regional fair, we did the county fair.
Okay.
We're doing clinics. We have people that have actually been in 4-H for years. They've come and visit us and talked to us about the hippology, because we are learning by doing, but it's nice when there's somebody who's done it before and they can
Right.
explain it to us a little bit better as the adults, so then we can explain it to the kids. So we've tried to get involved in as many things as we can in the last, we've been in existence for like 8 months, because we started last February.
Oh, that's great.
So we've done more than 1 or 2 things every month, and we've done the gardening, we've done horse shows, we've done the county fairs, and the kids have done 3 or 4 individual projects for each of them, between photography, quilting,
Okay.
cooking, decorating. They did the cement stepping stones. They had a choice of like a variety of 7 or 8 different projects that they could work on
Okay.
and then bring to the fair. So it was really, they loved it, absolutely loved it.
That's wonderful.
what's neat about 4-H too is it's for boys and girls. So
Okay.
as a parent, your son and daughter, or your nephew and niece, or your granddaughter, grandson, can be involved and the whole family, in fact, oftentimes is involved. But I want to mention, Heather alluded to it, the fact that even though we have project manuals, so for example, when we were doing sign language, there's a project manual that 4-H provides.
Oh.
It's current, because we're a land grant, we're part of the land grant university, we call on the latest research from land grants across, like, for example, I'll draw something from Iowa State or University of Colorado or Colorado State or Michigan. But in the case of the Hadley Sparkles Club, the Sign Language Club, we took a club trip to the State House.
Oh.
And in back of the State House, as you know, Hall of Flags. And there's flags from every city and town in Massachusetts. So our 4-Hers on their tour said, where's the Hadley flag? They were looking up. And the person in charge said, Hadley doesn't have a flag. Your town is one of the few that doesn't have one. So we're driving back from Boston, back to Hadley in the vans, and the 4-Hers are saying, why don't we come up with a flag?
Right.
So I said, well, you've got to meet with your select board.
Okay.
So they met with our selectmen about 2 weeks later. Our selectmen were really nice to them. Sat them right across the front row, and the selectmen sat there. It's pretty frightening for a 6th grader to
I
sit
imagine,
in front of a board, even though you're always kind. And
Try.
I
You
try.
really do try.
And so their proposal was to come up with a Hadley flag. And the selectmen knew the history. They knew that in 1992, a group of adults got together and tried to come up with one, but could not. They know that in 1996, committees got together across town, organizations, and just couldn't pull it off. And so they kind of said, okay, 6th graders, go ahead and run with it. But I don't think expecting anything to happen.
Right.
Well, it took the 4-Hers a little bit longer than even they thought. It took them 18 months.
Wow.
But in the end, they ended up with 82 entries, anything from pencil drawings to professional artists to photographs.
Right.
They whittled it down to 8, and at our spring town election, they got a special clearance from our town clerk to have all the townspeople vote on their number 1 flag, and we allowed every K through 12 student to also get a vote and have it count.
Nice.
Zoom, which was a TV show then,
remember
came
Zoom.
in. They ate this up. We were on Zoom all the time. Our Springfield Republican, the Daily Hampshire Gazette,
Yeah.
they were all over this. And so if you drive through the center of Hadley now, right by our town hall, there's the American flag, POW flag, and the Hadley flag. That's because of the 4-H club that they got there. The first one in 360 years, the only one the town's ever had. And they learned about politics. They learned about flag making, the history of flags. They learned about taking polls. It was incredible.
Yeah, I can imagine that's quite extensive
Yeah.
over many different genders. So
Yeah.
that's really wonderful.
Yeah. And there's many
I'm gonna have to go
examples.
up there. I'm gonna have to go up there and see
You
that
come through and
flag.
see it.
Just switching the gears just a little bit. Our lives are full of anachronisms. What does 4-H actually stand for?
Do you know what 4-H stands for?
I don't. That's why I'm asking you.
This is a Jeopardy question, though.
Is it really?
It comes up about every 6 months on Jeopardy. Fortunately, the contestants answer it. I feel good about that. So it stands for head, heart,
Okay.
hands, and health. And there's, the slogan goes, I pledge my head to clearer thinking, my heart to greater loyalty, my hands to larger service, and my health to better living. For my club, my community, in 1957 they added, and my world. And I can't do that without moving my hands, so I apologize. It's just the way it works.
So they have a pledge. So do they have a motto?
Yes,
Okay.
making the best better. And what that means is no matter where you are when you come into 4-H, we're not looking at the project. We're not looking at you producing the best rocket or having the cleanest sheep or the best ridden horse. We're looking at you as a person. We want to help you, make you better. Wherever you came in, we want to help you progress, develop, grow in knowledge and security and confidence. There's 3 other themes that run through every 4-H club, no matter what the club is.
Okay.
Leadership, citizenship, and community service. So you'll see that, a common theme, no matter what club you're talking about.
Okay.
There's a lot.
Yeah, I'm learning a lot from this interview with you. The slogan for 4-H. So you have a pledge, you have a motto. There's got to be a slogan.
Learning by doing.
Ah.
Learning by doing. There's the hands-on experiential education aspect of it. So again, no matter where you are, you can be in Oregon or you can be down in Louisiana or up in Maine or in Massachusetts. If you were to sit in on a 4-H club meeting, they would look pretty much the same. The project would be different, but they'd all be actively doing something.
Okay. Okay. Well, you know, we've found out so much about what's happening. Where does somebody sign up? Where are the programs found?
Okay, all over. And in the case of Franklin, Hampshire, and Hampden counties, the areas I oversee, the Pioneer Valley, you can contact, if you're aware of a local 4-H volunteer like Heather, you would
Okay.
contact her directly. If not, we're on a number of places, mass4h.org.
Okay.
You can find me. Or the number is 413-545-0611. So by phone.
Okay.
You can also go on our, up until a year ago, I barely went on Facebook. And in the last year, I've become a Facebook addict. So I'm changing my main page. I don't even know what you call it yet to this day, but I change that picture 2 times a day, 3.
Okay.
It's Pioneer Valley 4-H.
Okay.
And it's got all the latest and greatest of what we've been doing. In fact, right now, you are highlighted on that page. You are right there, front and center.
Oh.
What's wrong with you?
Me or the entire board?
Oh, from the picture the other night.
Okay,
right?
it's the
And-
Board of Selectmen. Let's touch on that. Why were you in front of the Board of Selectmen on a
Well,
Tuesday
just
night?
To back up for one more second, ours is the Free Riders of Wilbraham is on 4-H. So
Oh, I was
if you
gonna
looked
come
up
back to
Free
that.
Riders, that would be on that.
Thank you.
The other night, October is 4-H month. And we had contacted the selectman's office a month ago and asked if we could raise our flag. And the meeting I was under the impression was the first week of October. It turned out to be the second week. So in the midst of the weeks, we found out that we couldn't raise a flag in front of town hall because it's a veteran memorial. So they
Right.
gave us a beautiful proclamation and dedicating the month of October as a 4-H month for the town of East Longmeadow. And we're very proud to have accepted that. And we had a couple of the kids because it was a school night.
Right.
So we only had 2 children present, but we do have 12 in our group, and they'll be seeing it Fridays. We're meeting again. We're going to try to raise a flag in Wilbraham, so hopefully we'll be able to do that. So it was an honor for the kids, and it was
It's a beautiful
Yeah,
proclamation.
it
We
really
can't
is.
thank the selectmen enough, the select board
Yeah, it
for
really was our
for
pleasure.
doing that. It was tremendous. But back to your original question, there's about 34 4-H clubs in Hampden County,
Mm-hmm.
right in this area. Wilbraham, East Longmeadow,
Okay.
Longmeadow, Ludlow Thundering Rains, out in Palmer, all the way across from the Connecticut line to the Vermont line.
Yeah, because our programs are taped and they're put on YouTube. So somebody could be seeing this that isn't necessarily in East Longmeadow. So it's good to know where they can go to find out additional information. Because
Exactly.
4-H is all over the Pioneer Valley. I do want to go back to Heather. Did you want to give a phone number where they could reach you? Because I know Tom did, and his is 413-545-0611. You did give your website, but you didn't give a
sure.
contact
They
number.
can call me. My phone is 413-218-2427.
Fantastic.
So they can call me anytime or text me.
Let me ask you, when do you meet? Do you meet on a specific day?
We
You
meet
said your next
to-
meeting's on,
Yep, we meet 2 Fridays of the month.
Okay.
We're meeting right now at the library in Wilbraham.
okay.
It's every other Friday. And then we're doing clinics, workshops, going to horse shows, going to the fairs. We volunteered for the apple booth. Then there was a few other people in the group that may have volunteered for the milk. I'm not even sure, outside the Mallory building, what's it called?
Oh, it's just a milk booth.
The milk
4-H
booth,
milk
yeah.
booth, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
So there's always something to do. There's always something to get involved in, and we try to keep everyone as busy as we can. We're going to be doing a basic horsemanship clinic on the 24th of October. That is for our group. So if you wanted to be involved in our group, we welcome you. And we're going to be doing hippology. Then there's horse judging. There's every month, and there was a few different trips offered this month for Mystic Seaport,
Okay.
I believe, and then there was another one for Washington. So in addition to what our group actually does,
Okay.
there's a whole Hampden County, the whole Pioneer Valley that
Okay.
offers things that you
That's
can get
exactly what
involved
I
in.
was going to ask. So
Yeah.
those trips were actually regional things that were offered through the main office?
Right,
Okay.
exactly.
All right.
Exactly.
All right.
And they're always coming up, and they're on the website.
Yeah, we had a
the
recent
calendar.
trip to Hasbro behind the scenes tour. And that was an incredible, revealing tour of how robotics play such a role in manufacturing today. So our 4-H clubs were invited to go to that, and what a special trip that was. So it was wonderful of those managers and executives of Hasbro to invite us there.
Wow.
And I think
Yeah.
they're still as warm and welcoming, even though they've changed hands.
Right, right.
So, yeah,
Yeah.
I was just there the other day. They'll, if you call and you want to make appointments to do different things, I have to say that most of the groups, you know, anyone that we've contacted for 4-H, they welcomed us, and it's been a great experience for us and the kids.
Yeah, and I think we should give a little history. Some of this came about also because of the interest of having some 4-H activities over at the Browns Farm property, and we're hopefully going to get that
Oh,
going.
that's super.
You know, certainly if people have interest about 4-H, contact Tom
Yep.
or contact Heather. If you're not in East Longmeadow, contact Tom,
Right.
and Tom will lead you, I'm
I'll plug
sure.
them in.
I'm confident that
Yes.
you'll lead
Oh, you
them
bet.
to where they need to go. I don't have any further questions. Is there anything else that you'd like to add that hasn't been covered and that I haven't asked you already?
I just want to cover one small part, is that we're talking about pretty much the local 4-H activity level. We are national. We are, first of all, we're part of the United States Department of Agriculture. That's one side of our structure.
Okay.
The other is National 4-H Council. We have a 4-H center in what's called Chevy Chase, Maryland, just outside of Washington, D.C.
Right.
Used to be a women's college. It was donated by President Eisenhower to 4-H. And it houses around 736 people. It's a gorgeous campus. We subcontract out to Marriott, and they manage it for 4-H.
Okay.
We hold a lot of leadership events out there for 4-Hers. They come from all over the country. It's easy for us because we're an 8-hour drive away. So we use access to that a lot. But for anybody, 4-H family or not, it's open to you. So I just want to put in a little plug there saying if you're a 4-H family and you want to take your family down to DC to see the monuments, to tour, I recommend you stay at low cost at the 4-H Center. You're one bus stop and one subway stop away from downtown DC.
Okay.
It sits in a very exclusive area in Chevy Chase, Maryland. It's a safe area. It's a kid-friendly place with a rec center, and it's family-oriented.
Okay.
So, and again, we hold a lot of leadership conferences there for our 4-H clubs also.
Well, let me ask you something. I did something, you just clicked something in
Okay.
my brain here. Now, I know it's $50. Is it $50 per person, or is it $50 per family?
$50 per youth.
Per year?
person.
Okay, so, and if an adult were to join, they would,
There's no
charge for them. So define to me what a 4-H family is. Is that just somebody with a family that is
That's
in
got a
4-H?
youngster in 4-H.
Just one?
Yep.
Okay, one makes it for the family.
Yes.
Well, that could save you some money
Oh,
on a vacation there.
immense.
Oh.
We have one other road, you can have a group of 5, but you have to have at least 3 from one family, 1 from,
Well,
2 from
no.
another. something
What
like that. So-
constitutes a 4-H club, and this is just over time, it's time tested,
Okay.
is 5 youth from 3 different families. What we found out when some clubs tried to form with under 5 is you just didn't get that group dynamics and the chemistry that oftentimes lends itself to the best learning opportunity.
Okay.
So at one point, National just said, the best learning environment, this is research-based, is the 5 youth, 3 different families showing some kind of diversity and a mix of folks. And anywhere, there's no upward bound, but you lose common sense, again, 8 to 10 maybe top off at. Yeah,
Wow.
so.
We're still taking people though.
And you're
so
still
we're at
taking
12,
people?
Absolutely, because we are part of Wilbraham and in East Longmeadow right now. So
Okay.
if more want to join, we have the ability because I'm working with someone else. So if we wanted to split up and we just say just East Longmeadow,
Just
just
East Longmeadow,
Wilbraham.
okay.
But we've also accepted, we have one of the girls is from Longmeadow.
Okay.
And I'm certainly not going to turn anyone away. So
Exactly.
absolutely,
So anyone
if you're
can just
in Longmeadow and you want to come on over.
Yeah, we're friendly.
We're
We're
relative.
friendly, yes.
Very friendly.
It's a great community.
For
Hampton,
4-H
Wilbraham,
community,
Longmeadow, all
exactly.
around us, it's fine.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Enhance the village. I certainly have enjoyed speaking
Oh,
with
I
you
enjoyed
today.
it, yeah.
Just to recap, ages 4-H is
5 through
ages
18.
5 through 18. They just give you a call at
413-545-0611.
or
413-218-2427.
and you too can be a 4-H member. This has absolutely been fantastic. Thank you so much for
Thank
joining
you.
us today.
Thank LCAT very much.
Yes,
We
thank Don
appreciate it.
Mackey and
Yes.
the LCAT volunteers,
Yeah.
thank you so much for joining us. And please go out and join a 4-H and get involved. Our youth and our world will benefit from it. Thank you.